Hello, everyone, and welcome to our episode for our special within Beards and Games. I'm Ko, joined again by Brax, and our topic today, as we want to finish off our special, is: are there any activities we want to have or currently do have within our favorite MMORPGs to play with and interact with that are not specifically PvE or PvP focused? So, as a clarification, you do have your typical PvE content with dungeons and raids and whatever not. They are called in various other games. You have your typical PvP focused things like arena, battlegrounds, whatever they are called in different games. And sometimes you have often enough quite huge gameplay interactions with systems that are not in those categories. So, as we should start off by giving you a prime example, which has been in the discussion for many MMORPGs, is housing. Housing is definitely an interaction that is not categorized with either PvE or PvP, but it is certainly a huge part of certain games. Elder Scrolls Online, for example, Final Fantasy XIV, they had a huge, somewhat uproar when they said World of Warcraft will not have housing this expansion, and they will have to make severe cuts to both PvE and PvP content to include housing. Just not really something people weren't expecting to hear, because they still cry for housing for like, good lord, when did the housing idea came up? Like 10 years ago in Cataclysm or something? Or maybe even earlier. I think even earlier.
Pandaria was, I think, one of the biggest moves with the farm.
Oh yeah, the farm that you had, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, people want housing for their MMORPG, and if you have housing already, I mean, I already named two. Star Wars The Old Republic is really big on housing, whether it be your own personal space or the guild flagship decorating. Guild Wars 2 has housing in some degree as well with the guild hall decorations, but for World of Warcraft to not have housing as of right now is a pretty big deal. The reason why I brought this up as the first thing to interact with outside of the typical content is because Brax, you do like to build stuff. You already talked about this at length in Valheim. Could you imagine a system in World of Warcraft for both your own house and a guild house, or would you make any exception and say I would rather like to have a personal house instead of a guild house, or vice versa?
The guild house is a good thing, but if you look at it, probably there's not going to be a lot of people in there. I mean, even if we were, talking about let's meet up in a tavern, whatever it is, nobody ever came. You always have the chat, so you can chat there, so nobody's going to be ever coming. But in my opinion, it would be great to have both. But, considering the player base, I doubt that's going to happen. So a personal house is a way better thing for me. But you can have, friends over, whatever. That would be a good addition, because there's a lot of I think that New World had a housing thing. But I don't think there was an option. I'm not sure, because I never bought a house there. I gotta ask Nicolas Cage about that. He got it. I think he bought it. But I don't think there is an option for people to visit the house. So yeah, there it is. But I don't know how customizable that is either, because I haven't seen it, as I said. But it would be really good for the housing thing, not to, just buy a house and put stuff in, like work to a certain level so you can get the cosmetics or whatever it is, get a new table, get a new whatever it is, right? It would be, however, amazing if you could mix mix it with a game that's like Valheim, right? Where you can build your own kind of house, like your own kind of style, your own kind of look of the house, whatever it is. I mean, you have the options, this kind of roof, or maybe, this kind of shape, whatever it is, right? It would be great if they do put in some houses. It would be great if they're very, very customizable. Not just, this is a typical house. Now you have to choose what kind of pictures you're going to have up on your walls, what kind of table there's going to be, and that's it. That's, in my opinion, a little bit of lazy coding in a way, Let's get the same stuff, but 20 different colors, and that's it, No, I would go a little bit further than that. So, yeah, it would be great to have houses.
As someone who experienced, I think I experienced at least the best housing system ever created in MMORPG.
Yep.
I think we have to set a few ground rules first before the housing, before we actually get to it. First of all, housing should not be hidden behind a premium currency paywall. Always make it affordable.
100%.
Also,
100%.
Give everyone a house. Not give everyone a chance. Give everyone a house if they want to. I'm exaggerating. I'm specifically mentioning this because the housing situation in Final Fantasy XIV is atrocious. Before they made the lottery change, you had to stand in front of the placard on the house and click it 1 billion times because the reset timer on each plot was random, and it could happen that you can buy a plot immediately as soon as it comes up, or you have to wait like 48 hours until you can finally buy it, but the timer was not shown, it was random and always hidden. So you had 1 billion people standing in front of a huge plot or a large plot trying to buy it so they can place their house there. And now it's more like a lottery entry where you pay a certain amount of money, or gil in that case, and you put your name into the pot, and when the timer is done, it draws a name out of that pot randomly, and you might get the house or you might not get it. You get your money back if you don't get it, but it's completely random. You are not able to get a house for yourself easily in that game. Elder Scrolls Online does it beautifully, but it has houses hidden behind a paywall. Also not the best option. Guild Wars 2 has its housing system with a guild hall. If you're not in a guild, tough luck. And also, it's not your guild on your own. I mean, you still have to place and get the decorations to actually place it somewhere. For Star Wars: The Old Republic, I think it's fine. You do have both guild housing and your own housing. And you can decorate both extensively. I've seen some very beautiful guild flagships in my time in Star Wars: The Old Republic. The best system, I'm not sure if you have played it, that game far enough to actually see the housing, is the housing from WildStar.
No, I haven't gotten to that. No, I mean, haven't gotten
As an
that
explanation, each of you get an island. That island is floating in the air. You can customize that island to how it looks from afar and how it looks when you're on it. Basic stuff. You can place so many different house types on that island, whether it be linked to the races you're playing or the races you have in the game, places you've been, the different planets you visit. You can actually see other islands and their buildings on those islands as well when you're standing on your own, like they're a bit of a distance. You can change the sky, if it's night, if it's bright day, if it's dawn, if it's dusk. You can change the music, you can put fireworks into the sky, you can put a moon there, a sun there, whatever you want to put there. And inside the house you can place whatever. But the biggest thing for me is you can customize the island within itself, not just the exterior look and how it looks on if you're on it. You can dig into the island as well. You can make huge tunnel systems within that island. I've had housing exploration tours in WildStar taking up to 3 hours per house, just because it was so extensive, so big. Someone built the tree of Avatar on their island, and it was so enormous that everyone on that cluster of islands was able to see that tree in full size. It was ridiculous and it was beautiful, and I wish we had that kind of system somewhere else as well. Just because Wildstar was a great game when it came to housing.
Oh, Wildstar was good, man.
It was a really good game.
That was such a good game.
It was. I just want it back. I want it back.
Yeah, it's still kind of sad that it's gone.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, it was really sad.
It was such a good game, man.
And the last round rule I would like to have for housing is not only do not hide the houses behind the paywall, do not hide decorations behind the paywall. It is very simple to make those things obtainable within the game. Make it difficult if you have to make it difficult. I don't care. Just give us a recipe, give us the materials, and make us grind for it if you have to. Make people go out of their way and go for those things to craft a very extensive table. Just imagine you have to get like a really excessive recipe to craft a table in a Victorian style for like making a Knights of the Round table RPG thing. I don't care what it might be in the end. Just do not hide it behind a paywall. And I think on those three things we can agree. Do not hide the houses behind the paywall, do not hide the decorations behind the paywall, and make it obtainable for everyone.
Or 100%.
That is what I would set as a basis for housing. So,
well, I know one thing for a fact. What would make me grind the hell out of it?
What is it?
Go to a certain level to unlock like black sets. You know, like a black table or black flags, whatever it is. Something with a skull, whatever it is, you know. That's definitely gonna make me grind.
Just make it so you can color your decoration. Just make it simple. Put color and be able to put color in your decorations. Not that it wouldn't be that difficult. I mean, if I would look at the color system Guild Wars 2 has with all those really extensive and really good looking colors, where you have like a black with a tint of like blood red in it, but just a little bit darker. It's called, I think, Midnight Fire. It's a really cool color. Just imagine if you could put all the colors you have available from your armor and weapons onto your decorations as well. I mean, you already have a color. You're able to color whatever you have already on you. Just make it so like you can just sprinkle the color on it and be like, okay, fine, you're done. That wouldn't be too difficult, I guess. I mean, it's just give all the colors to those decorations. At least I think it wouldn't be too difficult for the coding part, but I do not know. I am not a programmer. But not only is housing a very big topic for people, it's also other stuff that might be very specific to those games. And when I, for example, think of World of Warcraft, one activity that comes to mind is pet battles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, something you do not like.
Yeah, bear in mind, I really didn't like that. That was... No,
I didn't like it either, but it exists and there are people who are enjoying it.
It's kind of cool. It's a cool concept, but for me, it's a waste of time. You know, it's just every time I accidentally clicked on a world pet, whatever it is, when you go into battle with it, you know, it was just, oh hell, get me the hell out of here. This is just, you know, just annoyed the hell out of me, man. It still does.
But it's still a really cool concept, especially since they expanded on it over the years and gave 100%. People actually pet battle dungeons and raids. I mean, you can even go into team battles. I mean, it's like you play Pokemon essentially, but just like within World of Warcraft. Fine, I guess. Especially cool if they included dungeons to have like a team component to it, but very small.
Like a racing kind of thing. If you're going in a competitive kind of way, you know, if you would have like what's it called again? The circus that comes down the Lunar Festival or whatever it is, right? In World of Warcraft.
Lunar Festival? Is there a Lunar Festival?
I think, or whatever it is. You play games there.
I think so. Yeah.
So make it interesting. Like you put 5 people or 6 people in, get them into a racing cart, and just race the hell out of it.
Um,
That would be so extremely cool. You put them on the road from what's it called again? Oh my god,
I think Etran or Tenorus or something has a
Elwyn
road there.
Forest to Red Ridge Mountains, whatever
Yeah,
it is. Just have them race down that road or wherever it is, and then put people in the middle of it, so they have to go around them, whatever. That would be so cool. It was so fun to do stuff like that. It just keep them entertained in a way. Because a
just
lot of people are basically bored just sitting there waiting for a dungeon for 30 minutes, whatever it is, or a PvP match, battleground, whatever it is. It annoys the hell out of you. You just walk around and just jump like an idiot, waiting for your turn, so
mm,
give them a chance to do something interesting like that.
just just imagine a race. You start in the most
Yeah.
upper part in the Eastern Kingdoms, and you have to drive to the southest part of the Eastern Kingdoms, like a
Oh, that
marathon. Make it like a 30-minute race, endurance test to the to
uh,
the very hardcore people.
or,
That would be cool, actually.
or
Probably only
maybe
do
or
it
maybe
once in your life and you're done with it, but
or maybe a flying match, from the north to the south, whatever it is,
whatever it might be,
make
yeah.
have some, I don't know, boosts in the middle of the path, where people can pick them up and they go a little bit faster. So it's kind of interesting. So then they need to, you know, think about what they're doing in a way. Uh, just
I
kind of
when we
there's a lot
talk
of
about
concepts they
races,
could put in.
when we talk about
Races, yeah.
races, yeah, I would actually say it already exists in a very, very good state, and that is in Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 has put a lot of emphasis on making mounts unique when it comes to steering them, their look and handling, and their abilities. Whether it be dismounting ability to start combat, or their abilities to control their steering in any certain way. And each mount is unique in that regard. Like the Raptor is able to jump very far, the Springer is able to jump very high, but there are actually two race components to this. The first race component is the Roller Beetle. In Guild Wars 1, the Roller Beetle started this whole racing thing, and it was a part of an event. And in Guild Wars 2, it is part of the main roster of mounts. And the Roller Beetle is really fast, and you have the ability to drift, and that is really difficult. But if you can master it, you can have some really, really cool racetracks either built from the game, from the developers, or you have player-made racetracks within their guild halls, which is like the sort of you against the time play style. But if you're looking for like this more Mario Kart-esque gameplay style, something you would have to have with like the boosters and the obstacles within the race course in World of Warcraft, you have that as well during a festival called the Festival of Four Winds, where you get an attunement to, you can pick up an attunement to an element, wind, fire, earth, or water, and those abilities, or those attunements give you abilities based on the element, obviously, and you can use them to boost forward or jump higher if you have an obstacle, or you can make an obstacle for someone, like if you have the earth element, just make a roadblock for them, like immediately in front of them, and they crash into it. And it is really cool to have, like, you're not driving, you're actually just running, but it is a really difficult course with those obstacles. And I think that is a really, really good example of how you can do through those races within an MMORPG, especially if you have that emphasis on those mounts. I can't really imagine how they would implement that in World of Warcraft, for example, because mounts are all the same. It's just different
Yeah,
looks.
the World of Warcraft thing. I think it kind of fits the Mario Kart
Probably a bit more,
perspective.
yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more in that kind of way. But yeah, I mean, if you want to have like, I don't know, horse races, whatever it is, a very good example was, for example, in the Witcher 3
Yeah, the Witcher 3.
video game. That was an amazing thing to see. When you go into a race and the horse gets tired and it can't run for a certain amount of time until it gets the stamina up, and by that time he can pass you, and you have to maybe change lanes, or go past a tree or two so you get ahead and stuff like that. It's kind of cool. It's a really cool concept, but that's not gonna work in an MMO, I guess.
No,
and
not really.
in World of Warcraft, that's not gonna fit. So, but it
No,
is a great concept. I
it
kind of
is.
like that. I like racing in The Witcher. It was fun. It was also a lot about what kind of horse you have.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
you
what
were
kind
able to
of
equip the horse with the saddles and stuff, right?
yeah, the
Yeah.
saddle and the stuff. And that's kind of cool. You have
Yeah.
to put into perspective the details that need to go in there. It's just, if you look at World of Warcraft, they didn't put much detail in mounts. It's basically, it looks different, but it runs the same.
It
You
does.
know, that's basically it. It never gets tired. It just runs. I don't know, throughout the whole continent at the same speed. you know,
Yeah.
it's kind of it's kind of weird when you think about it. But yeah, it is what it is. World of Warcraft is pretty old, but I think that in Dragonflight,
Yep.
this might change with the flying mounts, as I
The
saw
dragon
it.
riding, yeah.
Hopefully, it's gonna look as good. I mean, it's gonna feel as good as it looks on the trailer.
True.
Hopefully, we'll see about that. If it's not, I'm gonna be very disappointed. Very
Obviously.
disappointed. But yeah,
Um,
that's
since
not gonna be anything new. So me being disappointed in World of Warcraft.
everyone has felt that already. But just to get a little bit sidetracked here, just on a side note, since you already mentioned The Witcher, you can probably guess what I'm gonna come to next. I want to
Here
see
we go.
your reaction, because my reaction is like, why? Then I heard about the why, and I was like, why did they do that? I mean, you do not want to lose that person. So, to make it clear, Henry Cavill has announced that he will be leaving the Witcher Netflix series for season 4 and forward, and will be replaced by Liam Hemsworth, the brother of Chris Hemsworth, who is currently playing Thor in the Marvel Universe. And most people know Liam Hemsworth, for example, from The Hunger Games, as the
Yeah.
guy who was with Katniss at the beginning and later on in the movies as well. And I do not like that. Henry Cavill is the Witcher. If he is not the Witcher, Witcher should not be going forward. It is too iconic. Just imagine how bad it would have looked if they would have replaced Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Just,
Mm-hmm.
he is the Witcher. Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. It is like that. Just imagine if they would have picked someone else in the third movie of Lord of the Rings for Gandalf. Like, no, you don't do that. It's too iconic. It doesn't work.
There could be one option to switch from Cavill to somebody else that would work perfectly, because in my opinion, the other guy, not Cavill, should be the main choice for the show, because
Ooh.
he is the person. He is the personality. He moves a certain way. He is, when you look at him, he's a really tough guy in a way.
Tell me, who is it?
That would be Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh, he was in the talks at the beginning, right? He was on the selection of
The
people.
guy-
Yeah, he would work. Okay,
if
yeah,
you-
I'm agreeing.
if you Google him and type Witcher next to it, you're gonna see the exact look he would.
Yeah,
he would
true.
be perfect for the role, and he has that demeanor, like not in movies, but in real life. He's basically what he acts in movies, how he responds to people in movies, like in a dialogue, whatever
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
That's how he talks in real.
Oh, boy.
Because he is the personality. That would be so cool. But the fact that Cavill left worries me a lot, because he's an exceptional nerd of the Witcher series. I mean, the books and the games and everything else. He understands the lore. He knows the story so well. It's insane. The dude actually knows the exact scene from the exact page that it's written on. That's insane.
Yeah.
to me. And I know he was pushing to get the narrative across, to get as close as possible to the book material, right?
Yeah.
But the showrunners, sorry to say this, but they're fucking idiots.
Yep.
They want to do something different and new, which is dumb, totally dumb, because why would you do a series that's adapted to the books? I mean, that's covering the stories in the books, but you don't want to do the stories in the books. How does that go through? That's dumb. You know, I would say the same for the Rings of Power, which is just, oh God Almighty. You know, I don't want to even go into that one. But yeah, The Witcher, I'm very very passionate about it.
Yep. Yeah. That's
Very.
why I asked you. That's why I asked
I,
you.
I to be honest, I won't even watch season 3 because at this point, knowing this is basically throwing salt on the wound. You know?
Yeah. It stings. It really stings.
It's kind of, you know, when I heard that, I was like, nah, that's not gonna happen. You know, that's just talks, whatever. Then I saw it on Cavill's Instagram profile. I was
Yeah.
like, fuck. And honestly, I have nothing against Liam Hemsworth, but
He's
you
fine.
know, he's okay, but
Yeah.
let's be honest, he's not The Witcher.
No, he's
Not even close.
No.
He doesn't have the personality for it. I mean, you know, that's a specific, very very specific role, very very specific role. So imagine just, I don't know, you watched the Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
You probably know who Jon Snow is and who Ramsay Bolton is, right?
Yeah. Of course.
But did you know that at the beginning, the guy that's playing Ramsay Bolton is supposed to be Jon Snow?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I heard that as
So
well.
that's that. If you switch those characters, that's gonna be a totally different kind of, you know, perspective. I mean, that's gonna be a totally different kind of character, and you know, just it's such an iconic character. I don't know if anybody else could play it as well as Kit Harington did, to be honest. You know, and I doubt there's gonna be somebody else to fill the shoes of Cavill. You know, because he was really good at it. I was actually surprised. I was at the start. I was like, ah, fuck, that's not gonna work. Another pretty boy playing an amazing role, you know. But then he nailed it, man.
Yeah.
He really did. He
Yep.
really did nailed it. I was actually when I saw the first season, I was like, holy shit, this is actually good. You know,
Just the first
This is really
episode
good.
was enough
Yeah.
to convince me.
It was like, yeah, the first episode, you know,
Yeah, it was nice.
the butcher of Blaviken. That's such an iconic moment in the books. It has to be played well, you know.
Yeah.
And
You
when I
get
saw it, I
caught
was
that
like,
so often.
it's so good, man. It's so good. It's, you know, even the choreography of the fighting. I mean, Cavill is a really good swordsman. Nobody knows that, but he actually trained for
Yeah,
that.
he trained really hard
You know?
for that scene.
Yeah, so he trained really, really hard to get it done. And there's a lot of people out there that were actually breaking down the fighting scenes.
Yeah.
There's like expert swordsmen breaking that down, you know. And they said, "This is so good. This is like perfect." You know, there's some parts of it that are made up a little bit to make it a little bit more interesting, but
Of course.
these moves exist.
Yep.
You know, so it was so good, and the level of detail he put in, I'm sorry, Liam, but I doubt you're gonna get to that level. You know, it's a little much. So at this point, I think they basically killed the show.
Yeah.
In a way,
That's what a lot of
Which-
people said. They killed themselves with that.
which kind of pisses me off because I fucking love The Witcher and I was really excited for it, and I was like, okay, season 3, season 4, nice, so good. You know, I love that. I want to see how they make the story or adapt the story. They didn't come as close to the book material. Now I know why. Some parts are fucking perfect. They are really, 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 really close to the book material because, you know, Cavill was pushing for it. But now I know why they were stepping away a little bit. With every season, it's going a little bit, you know, further and further. I don't want to watch season 3 seriously. I just, even if it is Cavill in season 3, it's very disappointing, man. Very, very disappointing.
It is, unfortunately, it is.
But
But
yeah, if you put Mads Mikkelsen in, Even
gonna
if it's
watch.
not if it's not close to the book material, I'm gonna fucking watch that because that guy is a fucking legend.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
that's a legend, and he would do so good as Geralt, man. Why not him? You know, he's such an underrated actor, man. Why Liam Hemsworth? Oh, I know why. Right? Everybody knows why. Pretty boy. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's the reason. But anyways,
Yeah, I think it is.
we should be done with our sidetrack here. We got your input to that whole topic. On
Sorry, I
to
talked a
our.
little bit too much.
It's fine. It's fine. On to our actual topic. So we talked about racing. We talked about housing.
Yep.
We have briefly touched upon the pet battles done within World of Warcraft, even though there's not a lot to talk about, because it is a very simplistic system behind it. You train your pets and you fight against other pets. That's about it. That's the core of it. If we think about other systems, I do not consider collecting transmog and mounts as a real activity to do. It's just my personal opinion. I can see why people do that for the collections and the completionist itch, but it's just if World of Warcraft would have just 30 mounts, nobody would bother. The system came up simply because there is so much transmog and so much mounts to collect. And it's not really a system that is in the game on purpose for those kind of things. It just developed over time.
And people are basically bored. That's why they do it. They have nothing else to do but to do that. You know?
True. I mean,
so
I've done it out of boredom most of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's just what it is, you know. Even what was it? The Mage Tower, right?
Yep.
I think I came up to a certain point where I was, you know, doing PvP battles and stuff, and it got a really. It was a bit stale in a way, you know. It was the same crap over and over again, and I got bored, and I went to do Mage Tower just to get the skin for the weapon, you know. Otherwise, I never bothered with that because it didn't interest me in a way. I really didn't care, you know. But I did it because I was bored in a way, and I started collecting stuff because I was bored. I didn't like going into raids to get those, you know, transmogs because it was like so boring to me. It's insane, you know, because I was PvPing a lot. I didn't do PvE a lot, so going back into old raids just to get that mount or whatever it is, especially the invisible, right?
Invincible, yeah, from the Lich King, yeah. The horse.
Especially Invincible, that took me like probably 18 weeks, but I was bored out of my goddamn mind to get that. It was like over and over and over and over. It was like, oh man, is there nothing better to do in this game, you know? And yeah, that's why they do it probably, the boredom.
Yeah, so I don't really consider it a side activity that can be promoted by the game in any way, shape, or form. It's just basically player-made content. There's no incentive to do it, and there probably never will be an incentive to do it. It's just players figure out something to do when they do not know what to do. There are dedicated people to collecting transmog and mounts, and I'm not bad-mouthing them. To each their own. If they enjoy it, let them enjoy it. There are specific people who actually only buy the newest expansion to get to max level and get a bit of gear to do all the content from the previous expansion. And that's no joke. So if people, just to make this clear, people will get Dragonflight, get to max level, get gear, and then return to Shadowlands and do all the Shadowlands content. The Maw, Torghast, the raids, the dungeons, and grind that out. And they repeat that process for the next expansion, the next, and next, and so on and so forth. So they will never actually actively participate in current content just because they want to complete all their stuff on their own without any pressure, and that's fine. But like I said, that's player-made ideas of content, and it's not in the game per se, intended by the developers. So I do not consider it as a side activity that is actually actively promoted. So if you just start, if you those are the biggest things probably, which we know from the games we've played. There are smaller things in each game, but they are very specific to those games. Just to give you a quick idea of some things that I have encountered. For example, Guild Wars 2 has a lot of music instruments, and there are dedicated guilds of players making live concerts with those instruments, and they sound really fantastic. They put a really, really long and hard effort into making those things play really nicely, and they have like a multitude of flutes or harps playing together, and it sounds phenomenal. That's also that I think it is a cool side activity. Unfortunately, all the most of the music instruments are hidden behind a paywall. You have to buy them. It's a vanity item somewhere. So, yeah. I mean,
New World has something like that. I remember watching aka Nicolas Cage's stream, and he was playing what was it again?
The lute, probably. It's called the lute.
Guitar or a lute or whatever it was, right? And there was people coming in. He actually, I think the function is that you have to choose a song. Then at the lower part of the screen you have like notes or whatever, and you have to hit them at the right time, right? So the
Guitar
music,
Hero, basically.
Basically that, yeah.
Yep.
And then the other people that are coming in, they can play a drum or you know, a bass or whatever it is, and have to do basically the same thing, right? And they level their ability to play the instruments with that, basically. If they hit as much as possible, they level it up and they get better music. They have to play faster and stuff like that. It's more interesting, you know. It's a really cool activity, actually. When I saw that, I was like, oh, that's so cool. That wasn't available, I think, when I started playing New World back in the day, when it came out, the first week that it came out. So it was like, that's really cool, you know. So as soon as you mentioned instruments, I think that's a really cool thing to put in, you know?
It sounds cool.
And you can have like bands like that, you know, playing around.
One big thing we both have forgotten by now, but we're gonna change that, is as a side activity, crafting. Yeah, now that I say it, you come to the realization that there is something really important in some games. It is really, really important to craft stuff. And right from the start, I would say Final Fantasy XIV has the best crafting system, hands down. It is undeniably the best system when it comes to MMORPG crafting, and there are a few things or few games that come close to it. Black Desert Online, for example, is a really good contender for it as well. Maybe World of Warcraft will come up there as well with its new crafting system. Who knows? We'll see. People have to try it. It's not out yet.
It's coming out now, right? With Dragonflight.
Yeah, with Dragonflight it's going to be released. Yeah. So it's still a few weeks until it's there, but people will find out if it's good or not. I would say, I guess Elder Scrolls Online had a somewhat really cool crafting system with the fidelity of that specific Elder Scrolls thing, where you have to research stuff and get the traits that you want and stuff like that, and all the different recipes you can unlock to get all the styles. The styles were very, very extensive within the Elder Scrolls crafting system. So if you look at crafting, I would consider a few things. The practicality of it, like what can you actually make with it? The options when it comes to like the visuals, and also, is it actually a fun and engaging system? Because right now we can both agree, for example, World of Warcraft's crafting system is super boring, super unintuitive, and super not shit. Engaging. It's
shit.
Okay, so since you haven't played Final Fantasy XIV, I'm just going to give you a quick idea of how the crafting there is, and then I want to hear your input.
Okay.
Crafters and gatherers, they are different there. So you cannot gather as a fighting job when you go around in the world. You have to be a gatherer, and by being a gatherer means you have that specific gathering type weapon, for example, pickaxe for a miner, and gear for it equipped. Crafters and gatherers in that game are actual classes with gameplay and skills you have to engage with, and whatever you do with those skills will determine how much of a material will you find. Do you find rarer materials? Do you have a chance of maybe even like get second or third strikes just within one swing so you don't deplete the node as fast? It really comes down to you and how well you play that class, so you can get more stuff out of gathering, get rare materials, get hidden materials. You even have to engage with the day and night cycle, the times. Some things aren't available at all time, you have to find them, they are hidden. They spawn at random locations depending on what weather actually is. That is also pretty ridiculous. So you have to keep that in mind, and when it comes to crafting, you can determine how fast you make that item. Is it a higher quality? Misusage of your skills breaks the item and you lose the materials. You can determine how many sockets are on the item for materia slots, which is like little, imagine like the gems from World of Warcraft. They are basically called materia on Final Fantasy XIV, and you can place slots on them. And it's a really interesting system that makes crafting and gathering in Final Fantasy XIV really engaging. Now, that is something that most people enjoy, but there are others that will not enjoy it. My question is, could you see yourself enjoy something like that?
Yes, because if there was a good crafting system in World of Warcraft, I'm gonna tell you right now that 1,000,000% that I would devote myself to only crafting crap.
Okay.
Because that's so good and calming to me. It's insane. I mean, that's why probably why I enjoy, building stuff in Valheim and stuff like that, because I have to gather stuff. I have to think about how I'm gonna put it together. It's a little bit more of a creative kind of thing, and I kind of like that concept. It's interesting. It's very definitely better than anything that we have in World of Warcraft right now. But it would be really, really good if we would put that in. That's really good. I mean, a game that will have devoted crafters, blacksmiths, tailors, whatever it is, that would be so good. And the community would be, people would be looking for good crafters. People will, nowadays it's just, I'm gonna go to for example, World of Warcraft, I'm gonna go to the auction house, we're gonna see what's going on there. They usually don't go, oh, I need somebody. I mean, some do, but there's not a frequent kind of thing. It's not, oh, can somebody make me this and this and this? It's not as frequent. I think we had like crafters that were really good in our guild, as I remember, right?
Yep.
But we usually didn't use them as much. I mean, they leveled it a lot. I mean, some were really good with their professions, but those professions weren't used most of the time, which is kind of why put the effort in, if it's not going to be used. So putting that kind of thing in that you just mentioned before from Final Fantasy, which is a game I fucking hate, but the concept is a really cool one. People are gonna hate me for hating the game, but
probably
I don't care. A view is a view. So, thank you. I'm kidding, by the way. Or am I? So yeah, that kind of thing would be really cool to put in. That would be amazing.
It gives people that do not enjoy the combat side of an MMORPG a more meaningful place within the community itself. When I, for example, started Final Fantasy XIV, I had a guy in my guild that had one combat job at level 50, and that was as a warrior, a tank. And he had all the other crafters and gatherers at max level, geared to the teeth, able to craft whatever you threw at him. And he had so much skill that he could massively impact the economy on that server. It was ridiculous beyond belief. He was a really nice guy, and whatever you wanted from him crafted, you got it immediately without any charge, because boy, if he would be if you say, okay, let's say 100 million gil would be like, no, that's probably a bit too much. Let's make it more reasonable. 10 million gil would be 1 month of game time. He would have at least be able to play like for 400 months before he runs out of gold or gil. So yeah, that's just 400 divided by 10 is 40. So that, like, if you just say our year has 10 months, you would be able to play for 40 years straight without paying anything.
Yeah.
So it was really ridiculous.
Yeah, I really wanted to do that in World of Warcraft. I really wanted to develop a profession and just make a lot of money with it. You know, and buy game time with it at the end of the day. I really wanted that, but I was always pushed into something else. It was like PvP, PvE, you know, it was like, oh man. So that's why I said it, you know, if there was a choice to be like just a crafter in the game, just level the character up, you know, craft your own gear, whatever it is, and just be a crafter for the guild. That's all I need, to be honest. I know it might be boring to a lot of people, but to me it's heaven, you know. It's chill. I help people, you know. It's kind of, I'm in my creative vibe, and that's it. That's all I need. Just kind of weird, but yeah, it is what it is.
It's completely fine. I mean, it's your PC, your electricity, your game, your subscription. You do whatever you want.
My head.
It's unfortunate that Final Fantasy XIV is not a game for you, because you can definitely live that fantasy there. You just get one job, you get through the story, you unlock every zone that you can go to later on, and that's it. Then you can spend all the time in the world crafting and gathering to your heart's content, and you would actually be relevant all the damn time for whatever you want. You can build your own airship within the guilds. You can build your own submarine within the guilds.
Well, that's something. Yeah, that's the next level thing.
You actually have, like, if you go with that airship to a special place called the Diadem, that is your end game zone. Or at least it was at that time, for crafters and gatherers. You had like a specific zone for those things that you had to fly to, and you had a very limited amount of time to gather all the rare materials there. So it was like on a time limit, but you could go there from time to time whenever the voyage was ready, and you had your own specific endgame zone for crafters and gatherers.
Right now, I feel like you're trying to sell me Final Fantasy.
No, I'm definitely not trying to sell you that, because before you actually finish the story and you're able to get through it, you most likely sacrificed your kid to get through it or killed yourself. So, no, not gonna do that. I can't really condone.
I think I'm gonna stick with World of Warcraft for now, because I'm actually gonna be selling the PC, so I'm not gonna be playing Windows games.
What? So we can't play together
anymore. Which one?
We can't play together anymore. Oh, at least
World of
we
Warcraft,
have to look at the games
yeah.
we're playing together.
World of Warcraft, we can, yeah.
I'm not playing World of Warcraft with you. I don't want to play World of Warcraft.
Well,
Ed is also already bothering me with that. He's already saying, "Yeah, come on, play." And I'm like, "No, I don't want to." Okay.
I mean, you know, why not? Why the hell not? We're just gonna enjoy it. We're not gonna be pushing for content.
I'm really busy with my girlfriend, and she's playing Guild Wars 2, so I'm playing Guild Wars 2 again.
That's the exact same reason why I'm gonna be selling the computer, because I'm barely using it. It's, you know, I'm gathering dust on it, basically. The computer that I'm using now is just, for daily work and stuff. It's always in my hands, and I'm always on that computer because, I'm editing every day. And, World of Warcraft is playable on a Mac, so, why not just stick to the... I mean, I'm always coming back from Elder Scrolls Online, from WildStar back in the day, from Allods, from everything I tried. I always came back to World of Warcraft. So, just stick with your guns, I guess.
Probably.
In a way.
Okay. By the way, you'll probably get more flack for saying that you're playing on a Mac than I hate Final Fantasy XIV.
Well, consider the professional aspect of it. I'm
Of
using it
course.
because it's way better for editing and way more
True.
stable.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Since we're getting to the end of the episode, I'm just gonna see if I have something very cool in pocket for you to actually give me your input on, because there are a lot more side activity things you can do within MMORPGs, but most of them are just disregarded as something that exists, but nobody really interacts with it. And by going through all the games in my mind, World of Warcraft is basically done. There's nothing besides, like, I'm not actually counting any festivals or time limited events like Halloween, Winter's Day, Christmas Day, Christmas, whatever. I'm not counting that because those are just seasonal things that you can interact with for a limited amount of time, and probably will because of the rewards, and then you're done with it. So I'm not counting that. I'm really looking at things that are there all the time and can be interacted with at any time of the year. And if you think about it now, there's not a lot. Like, World of Warcraft doesn't have anything anymore. You're basically done with it. You redo old content. There's nothing really. Elder Scrolls Online, I mean, story is a huge aspect, but story is mostly PvE content, so I guess no, it doesn't really count as a thing. You could go for like lore objects, but I mean, yeah, it's more like a collection thing, I guess.
Yep.
Not really an activity you can interact with that profusely. Guild Wars 2 actually has activities where you go into... They change from day to day. You can actually go into like some sort of capture the flag football-esque game mode called Keg Brawl, where you go into the north of the Norse mythology-like town, the capital of the Norn, the big like Vikings and stuff, and they have like a big ice field, and you have to get the keg, like the beer keg, from the opposing team to your base, and you have like keg brawling. You basically fight like you would fight in a tavern as a drunken bastard, but just on a big ice field. That's basically keg brawl.
I kind of like that.
Or you have like the South Sun Cove event where you are all placed into a circle, an arena, and if I remember correctly, one has to hold that karka, which looks like a really weird sea crab, place it on its head, and has to run around and dodge all the other people while they have to snatch that crab from him. It's also a really cool activity from time to time, at least. Those things exist, but they're very rarely interacted with, simply because they aren't even developed any further. They just exist, and I guess that's about it. Other than that, jumping puzzles, like reach a really high location on the map and get a reward for it, not really content for me. Achievements might be a really good side activity, but people do achievements for two reasons: either completionist or rewards. If achievements don't give you anything good, you don't do them. I mean,
that's usually how it works.
Yeah. Would you do achievements? Would you view achievements as a side activity?
No.
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 I mean, they are cool. Maybe for titles, for skins, for mounts. Okay, I'm fine with that.
I mean, even if you do a skiing race, it's way better than doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would actually be interesting to see in World of Warcraft.
You had something like that. Do you remember the BFA World Quest where you had to ride down that penguin on that ice slope? I think it was in BFA. You have something similar in Shadowlands as well, where you have to drive a car downhill and you have to dodge those obstacles. So you have some sort of ski race,
I gotta take a look at that.
No,
I haven't seen that.
Don't.
That's interesting.
It's really buggy. It's really buggy.
Interesting
Sometimes
for a game that's been here more than a decade,
Of course. Blizzard is not an indie developer with 3 employees. They can fix their bugs pretty soon, actually. Like, let's not go into that. It's gonna make me angry.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you check out all those options, there isn't a lot of that besides the main things: crafting, housing. Then you have those game-specific ones, like for example the races in Guild Wars 2, or the music stuff. Like, okay, the music stuff is not exclusive to New World or Guild Wars 2. Warframe has that as well. Final Fantasy 14 has that as well. You have like various other things. Like you have in Guild Wars 2, you have guild missions that you start a mission within your guild, and you have an objective, and those missions are categorized. Like you have a puzzle where you have like a mini dungeon you have to explore, like an Indiana Jones thing. There's not a lot of fighting, it's more like puzzle solving. You have like bounty hunts, you have races where you get transformed into a chicken and have to run through a cave of spiders. It's actually really funny sometimes because you control people there, but still it's more like a really niche side activity. It's not like something you can sink your teeth in and be like, I'm gonna spend the majority of my time on that because I want to. At one point you're done with those races, you're done with guild missions, you're done playing the instruments.
True.
It's a shame that there isn't something really engaging.
Considering everything that we talked about, I think that the crafting part is going to be the most important and the most fun aspect of it, because everything else is just, as you said, you get bored with it really quickly. But the crafting thing, it never ends.
No.
It's just, there's always a level that you need to reach, or I want to make this a different color. I can't do it because I need to do a couple of activities before that to get the ability to do that, for example, right? Which is kind of, it just goes on and on and on, which a race is a race,
It's done at one point.
Yeah.
One thing that just came to my mind, and that's probably be the last thing we'll talk about. Story content is mostly PvE content, because you have to fight some stuff at one point and go through mandatory instances, whether it be alone or within the group. But most games make you do that once, give you the option to do that same story on other characters as well. But in a very niche case, and that is Star Wars The Old Republic, you have huge replayability of the storyline because your actions impact how the story goes. And I would say for someone who's only enjoying the storyline and dabbles, okay, he does like raids and dungeons and PvP from time to time, but someone who is just looking for a way to pass time. That was a red guy running.
Yeah, that was my son picking up a
toy, I guess.
A toy.
Just imagine you're done with your raids, you're done with your dailies, whatever, and you're like, you like the story as well, at least what you played in Star Wars: The Old Republic. I like the story. What about you just say, I'm just gonna make a new character and go completely light side or evil, or kill that one off, or romance that character, and the story will have huge impacts. I played through that part of the story where your actions, your previous actions, had a huge impact on the storyline. You could romance a character, go on a mission, and you give an order to someone and he dies. Your romance actually breaks up with you because of that, for example. People die. It's like at one point it felt like the suicide mission from Mass Effect 2 at the end, where you have to determine who does what task, and if you assigned the task to the wrong person, they died and they weren't there anymore in Mass Effect 3. And it felt like that in Star Wars The Old Republic as well, but those things were based on all the previous actions you did in your storyline. So, I'm not sure how you think about it, but I would see replayable stories, like with actual replayability and value behind them, not just redo the story and it's always the same, like actual consequences to your choices. I would see that as a limited, because at one point you've done everything, but possible side activity. So
Yeah, that's I actually loved that aspect of Star Wars: The Old Republic, because I went all evil on it.
yeah, yeah.
It was so interesting to see how it develops after all the actions that you decided on. It's so good. I love that. I'm actually amazed why other games, MMORPGs, whatever, right, didn't implement that kind of thing. It would be really cool. I mean, why not do it in World of Warcraft? Why not have a human be as evil as possible, or transition to the Horde? Whatever it is, that would be insane. There's a lot of Horde characters that are basically with the Alliance.
True.
In the story, right?
Bane, for
So
example.
why not just, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So why not put that in? So you're not limited to one thing. I want to play an orc, for example, but I want to help the Alliance, with the peace, whatever, right? Why not?
It's a
That would be
role-playing
such a
game. You
good
should be able
way.
to do that.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly. That
Putting
would
a,
be so good, man. I'll
I
do
think
that.
putting a bigger emphasis on a more grounded and um, I'm looking for the word, a story that you can see yourself in and you can understand, because it would they act logically, and how you as a human would act within that situation. If they would make a story like that and give you the choices, it would be really great actually. Like an orc can be sympathetic to the Alliance and be like, I want to join them, I want to help them because they feel more like home. A human can be completely disengaged from the Alliance and be like, I just want to join the Horde, or having the option to have like neither of them. I mean, it's been established in other big franchises as well, where you have a neutral party. I'm not saying, and I am not saying that the Pandaren would count as a neutral party or whatever. I would say more like you have the Jedi in Star Wars, you have the Sith, and you have the Grey Jedis, which are neither Sith or Jedi. They are just called Jedi, but they do not align themselves with either side, and they stand right in the middle, and you see those Grey Jedis fighting on both Sith and Empire's, Sith and Republic side, because they choose their own alliance. So it is already established in Warhammer, and Warhammer 40k has that as well. Two of the biggest fantasy franchises and sci-fi franchises as well, besides Star Wars. I mean, they exist. It does work. And you have this huge conflict between Alliance and Horde. Why doesn't it work there? Why? It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. But I don't know. I'm not a game developer. Not my choice.
Maybe one day, they are pushing into a new direction now with Dragonflight. We're gonna see how that's gonna go, but
Indeed.
the concepts are a little bit different than what we're used to. They're changing the flying patterns and everything, so maybe there's some hope there. We'll see.
Make it new, but not over the top cosmic entity being the bad guy thing, whatever. Like, do not let us fight against the Void Lords or whatever. Just make it basic, simple, high fantasy. Give us like a conflict, give us a bad guy, give us whatever simple bad guy it might be, whatever. Just, I don't know, it could be as simple as a big, powerful earth elemental going rampant and trying to destroy the continents. I don't care. It's really simple.
Garrosh.
Don't bring Garrosh back. Garrosh is a whole different thing. Garrosh is like as divisive as Shadowlands currently is. No. Garrosh is either hated or Sylvanas. Sylvanas is hated or loved. Don't make us do that again. No, there's no need for it.
Man. It's I'm not gonna go into that, but the Sylvanas thing is kind of.
It's fucked up. It's fucked up.
I mean, no matter what she does, she's a special character in my mind. So I can't hate her in any kind of way. It's weird, but yeah, it is what it is.
I see. Okay, so you're
the
talking
story
about
there was just fucked up. Yeah.
You're talking about Sylvanas being special. Could you just lift your right hand just so I can see that you're not doing anything weird? I mean, yeah, we know how Sylvanas fanboys act on the internet. We know. We know what kind of pictures you have. Rule 34,
like
we
this.
know. No.
I'll say it. I can say it like this.
Of course. No, okay. So we established that there are side activities done within MMORPGs, but it's kind of difficult to determine which one actually we want. I mean, housing is definitely a thing, crafting is a thing. And there are niche things that mostly only work in the games that they were developed in, like the racing thing in Guild Wars 2, with its unique mounts. It only works like that. Where the very unique housing system from Wildstar only works on Wildstar, obviously, which is a shame, but maybe for the future we will see more interesting side activities for people that are bored of both PvE and PvP. But we can only hope that those things will ever come. But this shall actually conclude our special for MMORPGs, and we will be back with... I'm not sure what we're gonna talk about next. We still have our Valheim up, and we still have a lot of other games that have Norse mythology, and we should go back to our roots again. We should actually be back. Yeah?
Let's dissect The Witcher. I'm just kidding.
I mean, The Witcher has Norse influence in it, with Skellige, for example. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
But I would have to play that game again just to remind myself.
But it's such a good game, man. I'm gonna miss it so much since I'm gonna be selling the PC.
I'm just gonna send you pictures from every time I play The Witcher on like...
I'm probably gonna buy a virtual engine so I can play, no. And that's the only game I would play, because it's just...
Good lord, get a console.
No.
Obviously not. Okay, but yeah, that shall be the end to our special. We will be back with an actual Norse mythology and Viking episode for the next episode. But until then, we wish you all the best, stay healthy and be safe. Bye!
Yeah.